I'm Julie Herman of J Bird Quilt and Lazy Girl Designs, and welcome to the Gravity Block of the Month. I'll be here once a month to do an overview of the blocks for each month. We're now in month 6. Month 6 is called Ultraviolet. And one of the blocks in Ultraviolet is violet, and the other one is yellow. So just as we've been doing, same pattern, 2 blocks. So you can see these 2 belong in the center of the quilt. So here is our purple one, and here is our yellow one. And we're going to be making these using a full hexagon, some half hexagons, and triangles, all cut from the Hexamore ruler. So let's get started.
Working from our gravity pattern books, we're on page 22 to make block 6, and we'll be following the cutting directions found on pages 8, 9, and 10. If you have the original gravity book, the directions for block 6 can be found on page 24. So as I just mentioned, we are in month 6, which is ultraviolet. And just as we have done in previous months, we're going to begin with 10-inch squares. We're going to cut them into shapes and then turn those shapes into blocks. And fun thing just happened when I was laying everything out. I realized that there's actually a piecing mistake in how these blocks were put together. But I don't know if anybody besides me would notice because it is kind of subtle, but I want to show you because mistakes happen. And I don't know if I'm going to take it apart and fix it when I put the entire quilt together, because it's the kind of thing that is really not huge at the end of the day. But if it bothers you, please, by all means, go ahead and change it. So if you compare this to your book, you will see that when this was put together, a piece got flipped. So how this actually should look is E and F got flipped on the one side. So I'm going to lay these cut pieces on top to show you. It's just that E and F, and the same thing with the yellow block. The piece that is this is able to be rotated, and so when the whole block got put together, it just got flipped. And things like that happen. Maybe it'll make my quilt a little unique and special. My original gravity is pieced the other way, and I might change it. I'm not really sure. I kind of do like how this contrasts a little more than that, but things like that happen, and I just want you to know that it is okay. Mistakes happen, and sometimes, as did happen with me once, they're not caught till after the quilt is quilted, and it gets to be too late to fix it. And there was one quilt I did for a magazine a very, very long time ago, and a mistake was not caught until photography. And I'm pretty sure they photoshopped it for the actual magazine, but all the pictures on my blog show the mistake in its glory, because that is just the reality of things. So just wanted to show you that real quick. And now we can jump into cutting our shapes. I think a little bit of a reminder every once in a while that we are all human is not a bad thing. So just like you, I am human. We all make mistakes. With this block, we will be cutting hexagons, which we have cut before, and triangles, which we have cut before, but we're introducing a new shape, which is half hexagon. And that is cut with the Hexamore ruler. And as you can see, we're going to be cutting those from 4 different fabrics. And let's grab one of those, and I will start with that to show you how we cut them. So in this case, we are cutting half hexagons, and they are referred to in the directions and in the cutting directions on page 10 by the finished size of what they would be if you put 2 of them together to be a hexagon. So they are called a 6-inch half hex, but you're really only cutting them from 3.5-inch strips. I apologize if that is confusing. I have overthought this many times over the years, so did I do the right thing by calling it that or not? But that's a conversation for another day. So I'm going to show you how we cut those. First thing that we need to do is we need to take a ruler and cut our strips. And in this case, as I just mentioned, we need 3.5-inch strips. And since I need 2 from this, I have plenty of space to go ahead and just trim off those pinked edges like I did last month with one of the fabrics when I was cutting the jewels, but always keep track of when you can and cannot, because just like last month, there was one fabric with the jewels. I was unable to do that. I didn't have enough fabric. I needed the full 10 inches. So I'm going to cut 3.5 inches. And in this case, I happen to need 2. So I'm going to do that 2 times. And even when I'm not using my magnetic mat, I really like this ruler. The lines that they put for the half inch are like super fine, and I have found that I really like them and find that it helps me to cut super accurate strips. So now I'm going to take my Hexamore ruler And the directions for this, as I just mentioned, are on page 10 of your book. And so we're going to look for the 6.5-inch hexagon and the 6.5-inch half hex, even though we're at a 3.5-inch strip. And we're going to follow that solid line all the way around. This baseline is the line for all of your half hexagons, but they each kind of land in a different place. So I'm going to line up that solid line and that solid line, and then trim the edge off my fabric. So as you can see, I really need a new blade, and spoiler alert, if you ever wondered, sometimes I do film these videos back to back, and I just finished filming month 5, and I did mention in month 5 that I needed a new blade, but clearly I did not listen to myself and remember to change it before this video. Fun trick, if you change your blades and don't want to worry about something sharp in the trash can, I will write old and new, and I will use a previous container to hold all my old blades, and then when it's full I get rid of them, and that way I don't have super sharp blades in my trash can. This one says new though, but this feels like it's dusty and old. No, these are new. I don't know that I've ever done this on camera. This makes me a little nervous because it's sharp, but it is one of those things we all have to do in the quilting world. So now I'm going to take my old blade off and stick it in my old container so that I don't have problems cutting in front of you. And one thing, if you happen to have this same brand rotary cutter that I do, or most of them, they kind of collect like dust over time and whatnot. So when I change the blade, I also use that as an opportunity to like wipe off all the dust. I'm kind of doing it off camera because I don't want to wipe it onto my fabric. I'm wiping it onto my floor, but I kind of wipe all that stuff out. Okay, so let's get this put back together. Line that up. Okay, when you have a nice fresh new blade, you shouldn't need to use any pressure. It should just cut like butter. And if you ever switch your blade and then you are getting a lot of fuzz, I have done this before where I've accidentally put 2 blades on at the same time. And so you're actually cutting 2 lines. And so that fuzz is what's happening between the 2 blades. So if you ever get that fuzz, double check, make sure you didn't put 2 blades on there. Okay, now that we have a fresh new blade, I have gone ahead and cut the first edge of my half hexagon. I'm going to flip that over, reline up my ruler, solid line down here, and around my shape. I always like to do that part of the half hexagon first and move this out of the way so I don't cut into my waist, and then cut off my little dog ear. And this is big enough to use to cut our triangle for our stellar pillow, so I'm going to set that aside. And I will show you uninterrupted, no need to change a new blade, cutting one more time the half hexagon. So again, I'm going to line up the 6.5-inch hexagon to 6.5-inch half hex lines. Oh, that's so much better. You know, we all make that mistake of neglecting our tools sometimes, or at least I do. I don't know if you do. It's definitely something I'm guilty of. 6.5-inch hexagon to 6.5-inch half hex. And again, I start down here, move this out of the way, and then cut off that little dog ear. So I'm going to repeat that process with all 4 fabrics, so with 3 more fabrics, so that I get all of the half hexagons that I need. And I'm going to find my B tag. I'm going to stick that on there so that I can keep everything nice and organized. One of the other things that we need in this month is a hexagon. And I have shown you cutting a hexagon back, I think, month 3, I think. So I'm going to show you something different this month, just another way to cut it. If you want the traditional way of cutting a hexagon, you cut the 6.5-inch strip and cut it. But this is another way, and this is something, if you happen to have a fabric that like was calling to be fussy cut, which I have seen some amazing gravity quilts that people have done that. Obviously, this fabric itself is not, but say you did, this is a really cool technique for doing that. So let me show you how this is. And what I'm going to do is I'm not going to start by cutting any of this into strips. Now, if this was something I would kind of look at my 6.5-inch hexagon and decide like where I wanted it for fussy cutting. In this case, I'm not fussy cutting, so I'm just going to go into the bottom corner so I don't waste too much fabric. And then what you do is we're going to cut 2 sides, move the ruler, 2 sides, move the ruler. We do that 3 times. Normally cutting a hexagon, we're going to move it 2 times because we're going to cut the strip is the first set of cuts, but this is another way. So we're going to cut and cut, and here I'm just cutting a little bit past the 6.5-inch line. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate this, and I'm going to continue to take my ruler, and the lines that I've already cut, I'm going to line them up underneath my 6.5-inch hexagon lines. And I'm going to cut my 6.5-inch hexagon without doing any strip cutting first. I'm trying to avoid waste, which is why I didn't do that whole cut there, but since we're right at the edge there, I can finish that cut. So now I have 4 of my 6 sides cut. Take my ruler, line it back up on top, and do my last 2. And as I mentioned, you know, this is not a fabric that needs to be fussy cut, but this is just another technique I wanted to show you. And if you prefer, I will make sure to link below to the other video where I showed the traditional way of cutting a hexagon. So we're going to have the hexagons, the half hexagons, and then triangles. And we have done triangles a couple times with the hexamore and the sidekick. And the triangles for this one are from D. So this is where, even for me, it's really helpful that I keep things nice and labeled and I know what everything is. And then some fabrics like this one for D, we're only using it for 2 triangles. There's some fabrics that are really tight and you're going to use it for so many things within a block. And then there's some that are really there just to be a little bit of an accent. So that is one of the reasons I did the stellar pillow, is to help you use up some of your scraps, but you'll also just have a nice pile of scraps to use for a variety of projects. So cut my 3.5-inch strip and then take my hexamore. I like to begin usually with it in this orientation. You can begin with it in this orientation, whichever one feels more natural to you. For some reason, I like having the bulk of the ruler close to my body. I feel like that helps me manage it best. So trim, and then turn it around, and now it is, the bulk of it is away from me. Trim, and then just continue down the strip until you have the number of triangles you need. In this case, I happen to need 2. So I'm going to continue to follow my directions for block 6 to cut all of my yellow and purple fabrics. And just a quick reminder, if you are working from the Northcott Gravity Kit, then you are on page 22 in the book. If you are working from the original book, you are on page 24. That was the only block that changed numbers, moved some things around in the new version of the book. Thanks for watching. If this video was helpful for you, be sure to like it, leave a comment below, and subscribe to the channel. Show us your progress on your gravity blocks in our Facebook group. We'd love to see how you're coming along with your quilt. The link to the Facebook group is below. I'll be back here in the next video to show you how to piece block 6.